Harbingers of Ruin 1.1 update for July 9th, 2024. Quality of life and more. YouTube, welcome back. We are going to read through this. I am late to the party because it's been more than 1 hour since this dev post was released. And I've heard from my Discord that this is insane. We're going to read through this. We're going to get some live reactions from people who are watching at twitch.tv/bearthepig. And we're just going to peruse this. At the very end of this video, I will put a timestamp on the YouTube video, letting you know where we start recapping things and summarizing things. But the first part of this video, we are just going to peruse. So I will link this in the description of the video as well if you want to follow along. We got a lot to read. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome. Okay, so we've had one post so far. This is post number 2. They're going to highlight some of the quality of life changes and maybe bug fixes, maybe. Coming with the last Epoch 1.1, the Harbingers of Ruin update on July 9th. So we are less than a week away from this. We're on July 3rd right now. We're probably getting patch notes in 2 days, maybe Friday. I'm thinking Friday, but I'm ready to be wrong. We'll be covering some hot topics today, but fear not, the full patch notes will cover everything related, added, changed, or fixed. I don't know if they're going to have all the unique items, but I am very much so looking forward to the unique items because I'm looking forward to the build contest that we will be inevitably hosting as well. Let's read about some mechanical changes. In this section, we're covering some stuff, blah, blah, blah. Changes to blessings. Hallelujah, they're changing the blessings. Is this what I think it is? Is this... Oh, we can find. Okay, so is this where like you farm a blessing and then if you farm a different blessing, you can swap blessings freely without killing the boss again? Because that's what it looks like. They can be a key piece in making a build come together, getting the right blessing. The prospect of giving up this to try out that other build can be daunting enough to discourage experimentation. To remedy the fact that you currently discourage experimentation, EHG is adding the ability to quickly and easily change your blessing without losing progress. I have a joke to tell you, and the joke is I've talked to people who don't think that this is a worthwhile feature. Those people, they play one build every 4 months and then min-max it. And they say, why would I ever change my blessing if I had a good one? It's because the rest of us, we know the real answer. It's because we're alcoholics. And we want to experiment because experimentation is one of the things the last Epoch does so well. Whew, love it. A blessing stash? It's a blessing stash. Oh my God, this looks so good. In 1.1, after defeating a boss and unlocking all the new blessings, all of the blessing options will be saved to the blessing stash in their current role values, if higher than previously earned versions. This includes a blessing which you do not select. You don't even have to pick it. You don't even have to pick it. You can just farm them. That's unbelievable. Wait, what's this? For alts? This means once you defeated a timeline, you'll be able to swap out a blessing that you've earned with any blessing from another character? Holy moly, that's way better than I thought this was going to be. That's insane. Pre-1.1 characters, Legacy and Offline, will have access to their non-equipped but discovered blessings as a swap at minimum roll. Okay, so Offline, Legacy, they get like just a tiny bit of minimum roll, but they can farm them up. Good. For example, unbelievable. Character B, yeah, great. That is so good. Whoo! All right, love it. That's great. Ladder improvements. We can skip this part, right? Yes. Ladder improvements. We understand that ladders in competition are important to a dedicated portion of our player base, and accuracy, truly, is integral. It is. And, you know, this is even nice for races and whatnot. So let's see what's going on. To expand the opportunities our players have to efficiently challenge each other, we are adding a brand new level ladder to Last Epoch. This will track the race to 100 by showing the leading cycle characters with the highest experience and a timestamp displaying when they reached level 100. That's really cool. Love that. Great. No notes. Next up, Monolith Timeline Search. I feel like at some point in the past, They told us that they didn't have the technology for this. I might be misremembering. But I also remember a different point in time, and I remember this one much more clearly. I remember them saying that they didn't want to add a timeline search because they wanted it to feel more organic. And they wanted you to like scroll around and stuff. I wonder what they have to say about this. Also, can you search for Exalted? Wait. Can you see this? Is it zoomed in enough? Hold on. Look at the word they type in. They typed in the word set. Whew. Okay. With 1.1, we're adding a search box. This creates a quick way to filter and search for desired echo types and rewards, and magic nodes highlight. If you can search for Exalted, good. If you can't search for Exalted, I don't care. Hopefully you can search for the word Exalted. We'll see. Loot filter, good. I think we heard this. They said that they were adding in what do you call it? LP stuff, right? Like 1 LP or 2 LP. I think so. They said, okay. We heard you. Loot filters are getting some new filtering options. You can now add multiple affix conditions to a single rule, which it looked like you could do in the past, but you couldn't do in the past, right? Yeah. For example, you can have one condition for boots to only show if they have movement speed at tier 6 or higher, and then another condition to have at least tier 5 dexterity or vitality or strength or higher. Awesome. Love that. So loot filter better. Legendary potential and Weaver's Will filtering. So you can show Weaver's Will items that only have at least 19 or 20. Awesome. That always sounds great. Item factions. Once we introduced item factions, I don't know what this is. I'm curious to know what this is going to be. We've always wanted to provide options that suit everyone's preferred playstyle and feel rewarding. Before we talk too much about this, I should say, like, I love COF. I think it's great. It represents the kind of way that I want to play Last Epoch, and it does. But I'm fully aware, after talking to lots of people, that Merchants Guild is insane. And hopefully you know that as well. We have a joke on stream that we say, if you want to play Melee, you should play Merchants Guild. Because Merchants Guild Melee gear is dirt cheap. And you can have absolutely insane Melee characters. Because there's a lot of people playing Merchants Guild, and they're not playing Melee. Keep that in mind. Let's read the rest of this. They said, thankfully, you provided plenty of feedback and suggestions to our teams to work with. And below, we are sharing the upcoming ranks and changes to item factions. Sounds good. They did say that they're going to have rank 12. Oh, so no longer stops at rank 10. Love that. Progression speed has been taken into account, and it requires less reputation to achieve maximum rank in 1.1 than it required to achieve rank 10 in 1.0. So it'll take less time to get rank 12 than it used to take to get rank 10. Good. Each rank does stuff. Favor gain. At maximum rank, you get increased favor gain. That means you can farm prophecies faster. It means you can farm whatever favor does for you in Merchant's Guild. I don't know. However, experience scales less with corruption than it did at high corruption previously. And favor gain is based on experience gain. Cool. So that sounds like you're no longer encouraged to get to 2,000 corruption in order to get favor as fast as possible. I like that. At all normal corruption values, you'll be gaining far more favor than before, but at extremely high corruption, you'll be gaining less than before. I think that's good. Overall, blah, blah, blah. Great. Merchants Guild. Yeah, fine. I'll read it. While we were overall happy with where item progression in the Merchants Guild was, there were some ranks we felt offered very little in terms of upgrades. So I've heard people complain about Merchants Guild in terms of like when they're able to trade exalted items. Really, guys, not exalted, but like LP items. The biggest complaint that I heard about Merchants Guild was the UI. It sounds like the UI was completely rancid. Hopefully that gets fixed. To make progression feel smoother, we split the ranks and introduced 2 more ranks, so it goes up to 12. The changes are below. We heard your feedback on the Bazaar search function, and the team is currently working to update the system, especially affix searching. Good. We plan to release this as soon as 1.1 is ready. That's great. Rank 1, you can sell all items, and you can buy normal magic rare. Rank 2, you can do set items. Rank 3, you can buy uniques with no LP. Rank 4, you can buy idols. Rank 5, you can go buy exalted and offhands. Wait, you have to wait till rank 5 to buy offhands? Oh, exalted weapons and offhands, but not exalted body armor. Okay, got it. See, I didn't do merchant's guild. Exalted armor used to be rank 7. Okay, so what's new? Previously rank 8, previously rank 9, split from rank 10, previously rank 10. Oh, they just split some stuff up, and that's why they have 12 ranks instead of 10 ranks. Got it. And then the very end is you can buy all legendary items in the Bazaar. You can buy legendary armor in the Bazaar. Okay, so this is legendary boots, gloves, helmet, body armor. And then rank 12 lets you get weapons, offhands, belts, stuff. Sure. All right, sounds great. Hopefully. Oh, the good stuff. All right, this is what we're doing. We heard your feedback on CUF. It felt lacking when farming bosses and experimental affixes from exiled mages. I think the big place where CUF failed in patch 1.0 was at the end of the day, if a Merchant's Guild person and a CUF person were both trying to farm a boss drop, like a unique item, something like Twisted Heart of Vaqueros. Twisted Heart, awesome item, every build. Merchant's Guild could buy it. And CUF could do nothing. There really was nothing to help CUF get over the hurdle of trying to farm up a good boss unique item. So they kind of missed the mark on that, but they're addressing it. So let's see how it goes. Experimental items, cool. Let's see it. Especially experimental items on specific base types. That's actually something that we talked about with, who was that? Was that was Frozen? That was Frozen, right? On the podcast previously? I think so. Let's see. To address this, we've added 2 completely new ranks, so it goes up to 12 instead of 10, that increase the amount of boss-specific loot and increases the amount of experimental affix items exiled mages provide. In addition to these, rank 12, previously rank 10, which duplicated prophecies, has received a rework. In 1.1, instead of duplicating the rewards, the prophecy now act as if you had 2 of them, meaning you can get 2 different unique items. For example, instead of getting 2 of the same rings from a single prophecy duplication, you now get the ring prophecy twice, which in most cases ends up granting 2 different rings. I think that's a plus. Sounds good to me. At face value, this sounds like the change that I would like to see made. If it ends up feeling bad, we'll give feedback later on. But my initial impression is that this is something that I would enjoy. More variety, that's better. All right, Twitch chat agrees with me. Let's keep going. Rank 1. Root of Ascendance, when used on an item that requires CUF. Idle drops. Oh, look at this. It used to be rank 9 to get your set items. And now it's only rank 4. So, like, are set items good? By and large, no. But they're certainly more interesting early in the game than they are late in the game. You could even make this, like, rank 2. you could legitimately make this, like, rank... You could make this rank 0, couldn't you? Yeah, maybe when they buff set items someday, this will be more interesting. But at least it's 4 instead of 9. What else? 35% chance, unchanged, previously rank 4. This is new. Okay, so rank 7, twice as many experimental items. So they drop 2 instead of 1. Cool. Uniques are twice as likely to have LP, previously rank 6. And then rank 10. Let's see, what is this? This says, specific rewards refers to any items dropped by that boss. For example, Ravenous Void dropped by the Husk of Elder Gaspar. So bosses have 150% increased drop rate for any specific rewards that they have. Bosses applies to all unique enemies that display a boss health bar. Does this influence the pinnacle boss? It should, right? I hope so. Ideally, this influences the final boss, right? It should. It definitely should. All right, cool. Items that would drop as rare, previously rank 8. Twice as many items. Okay, instead of duplicated. I like this. Good. New rank 12. I'm reading some Twitch chat right now. New rank 12 is worse for anything but getting different rolls on boss uniques. No more 2 exalted idols, LP unique items. It's just twice as much stuff. Yeah. It's twice as much stuff. It's more variety instead of dupes. You don't like the new one? I think I like the new one. If it ends up feeling bad, I mean, that's going to be something that we learn while playing the game. But at face value, I'm on board. We'll see how it goes. You like it? All right. It sounds like most of Twitch chat likes it. Some Twitch chat doesn't. I understand. Let's keep going. This is the Gaze of Aerobus changes. Whoa, I love the gaze. Corruption is an integral part of last Epoch's Monolith of 8. True. This is a mechanic players spend a lot of time with, increase amount of the experience game, blah, blah, blah. So what was the issue before? The issue previous to 1.1 was that the Gaze of Aerobus, you could stack as many of them as you wanted, and then when you killed one shade, all of your gazes were consumed and they would give you bonus experience. And it came to pass that the optimal way of doing your corruption pushes in Last Epoch was to farm 2 or maybe 3 gazes of Aerobus by killing the boss 2, maybe 3 times, and then doing a shade. If you were doing 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 gazes and then doing a shade of Aerobus, that was a whiff. That was a waste of resources. So that was the old problem. Let's see if this change addresses that problem. We're introducing changes. Cool, dude. Previously, gaze had diminishing returns, like I said. In 1.1, each gaze of Aerobus will grant 12 corruption. This takes away the confusion over how much extra corruption you could expect to earn per gaze, so it's always 12. You will no longer feel like you waste gaze, like what I just described. Another thing to help manage corruption, now only 4 gazes will be consumed at a time. Cool. So you can't, like, you could stack up 12 of them, and if you do a shade of Aerobus, it'll only take 4. Seems good to me. Instead of all of them being consumed at once, the rest will carry over to the next Echo Web. Sounds wonderful. Hopefully this is a good change, because it sounds like a good change. We do have a change to make it less, wait, well, let me back up real quick. The amount of gaze consumed is capped at 4 to avoid the possibility of adding too much corruption and experience a sudden increase in difficulty, blah, 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 while increasing corruption in your higher corruption timelines, which could lead to unfortunate player deaths. Sure. However, we do have a change to make that less painful too. Upon dying to a shade of Aerobus, players will now only lose 1 gaze instead of losing all of them. This was a pain point for people that were pushing past 1,000 corruption. First of all, boo-hoo. But technically, there's a portion of the player haze that was complaining about this. So I'm glad that they are taking them into consideration too. These changes also mean that corruption can be farmed faster. I'm nervous. I'm nervous so far. Because corruption, you know how I feel about corruption. Corruption is currently a joke. I'm a little bit concerned about that. You can farm corruption faster, as consuming a full stack of gaze will provide 48 corruption. No specific changes have been made to the current corruption catch-up mechanic. So with these new changes, increasing corruption on your lower corruption timelines is now faster as well. We know that gaining corruption in the party has been less than optimal, in that only the player who has started the Echo would earn the Gaze of Aerobus to help them increase corruption later on. This has been changed so that all players in the party will have who have the required stability to be granted a blessing when the timeline boss is defeated will also gain a stack of the gaze. These players can then increase corruption much faster on their own timelines. Are we still going to see people at 8,000? I mean, cool. This is good quality of life. But I would like to see some changes to corruption, because I still don't like how easy and linear corruption is right now. We'll see. You want to see 10,000. That sounds boring. Let's keep going. Class changes. Here's where we'll be highlighting a couple of the changes. All right. The patch notes will cover every single change. It's a lot. It is a lot. Today we're focusing on a few frequently mentioned classes. So there's channeling, there's disintegrate. It's technically a skill. All right, we're just going to keep reading. Let's go. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. It's been a bugbear in the community that using a channeled skill stopped all mana regeneration most of the time, especially in builds where a 0-cost channeled skill triggered another skill that still costs mana, meaning players would need to ease off the gas, which is boring. For 1.1, most channeled skills, which prevented mana regeneration while channeling, have been changed. They will no longer prevent base mana regeneration. However, the base mana regeneration 8 has been added to their channel cost. So if you build mana regeneration, you could gain mana while channeling. If you're playing Warpath, you could potentially Warpath and then regenerate mana while Warpathing. If you were proccing something like, I don't know, Smite or Void Cleave, that sounds pretty good. Other modifiers to the basic mana cost have been adjusted where necessary to account for this change. Spicy. This change has been introduced so players that invest into mana regeneration feel the reward for investing into mana regeneration without having a negative impact on players that do not. Whoa, I love this change. Can't wait to see how this plays out. Warpath, regenerating mana, done. Skill changes. Disintegrate. So they spoiled the Disintegrate skill tree. And by spoil, I mean they told you that it was going to change. But let's see what's actually happening here. The very first thing they call out is very important. Whenever someone on Reddit says, I want to play Disintegrate, what that means is there's one Disintegrate build, and it used Ignivar's Head and Gambler's Fallacy. And it did way more damage than any other way of playing Disintegrate. And that's boring, and it's kind of toxic. They're removing it. Wonderful change. This combination allowed you to greatly overcap critical strike chance, which offered a massive multiplier to Disintegrate. This was an unhealthy interaction as the mechanic was easily overlooked considering the normal functions of the involved stats, and also meant that it was the only way to build it. It's true. So listen, what this means is that anyone who said there was another way of building it, are wrong. With this in mind, we have updated the older nodes and we've added new nodes for Disintegrate and its skill tree to give it the power that it needs inherently and stop relying on the interaction because the interaction has been removed. Disintegrate should have more build options available, hopefully. The full list of changes will be included in the patch notes, but we'll take a look at a couple impactful nodes right now. The base damage has been increased from 15 to 24, which is a huge increase, and its added damage effectiveness has been increased from 300 to 480. These are big increases. Like, Scorching Ray enjoyers, you Path of Exile gamers, Disintegrate looks like a legitimately good skill. I don't know how to build it, but it looks legitimately good. Lucomancer is brand new. It says every 2 seconds you spend channeling, you gain a stack of Lucomancer, up to 2 stacks. Each stack lasts 4 seconds. It grants global more damage to ignited and shocked enemies and reduced mana cost. Hot. Love it. Ooh. What else is here? Hyperfocal. Deals more damage based on your maximum mana. Love it. 0 out of 1 node. It doesn't give you damage, but it gives you a way to build more damage. This is the kind of node, the kind of like, it allows you to scale something. It allows you to opt into a scaling method that I love in Last Epoch. Love, love, love seeing more stuff like this in the game. What's this? Flame Vent? When you stop channeling, you cast Fireball. Wait. Huh? Wait. When you stop channeling Disintegrate, you cast Fireball at nearby enemies twice per second spent channeling up to a maximum. Oh, but there's a maximum? Why is there a maximum? There shouldn't be a maximum. Think of how cool this would be. Oh, you cowards. Why would you put a maximum in this? Oh, that sounds so cool. Anyways, Shield Bash. Bonk. So, Shield Bash has been a skill that has technically existed in the past. Basically, what Shield Bash has done in the past is it gave you a bunch of fire damage for like one-shot judgment builds, or it gave you guaranteed blocks for like the next 3 hits that you block. It hasn't really done much in the past, but let's see what's got here. It's been in the background for some time. Sure has. You could have deleted this for years and nobody would have noticed. We've even noticed when people talk about melee skills, it doesn't even get a mention. True. Being so niche and the support skill left out of summoning builds, because it provides a guaranteed stun, it requires a longer cooldown to prevent it from being overly abusable on bosses. Here's looking at you, Snap Freeze and Anomaly. In particular, one area of improvement for Shield Bash was as an offensive skill, which is receiving a lot of love in 1.1. Let's take a look. Base skill, show me. The cooldown's been increased. However, stunning enemies will now quickly make Shield Bash available again by reducing the remaining cooldown. This counts stuns from any source, including other skills, not just stuns from itself, which should open up some fun build opportunities. Flurry of Blows, let's see. No longer has a cooldown. Hey. Mana cost plus 9. No longer mana cost plus 25. It's only plus 9. It's actually looking good. Indomitable Force. Melee damage based on your block effect. So remember, at the top of the Forge Guard skill tree, there's a node that gives you block effect per ring of shield orbiting your character. This sounds pretty good. What if you just stack, you get some block chance, you get some block effect, you get some damage here. Yeah, it looks pretty spicy all of a sudden. Remember, there's even blessings for block too, right? What's Shield Storm? Increased attack speed scaling. Wait, just increased attack speed scaling with your block chance. So you build block chance and you get attack speed. That's it. That's all you're gonna. Yeah, maybe it looks good. Who knows? Let's move on. Next up, Avalanche. Back in my day, gather round, my friends. When I started playing last Epoch, Avalanche, there was a Avalanche runner build, and it was like an Avalanche monolith farmer. This was like back when monsters had 1 HP apiece. Bosses had twice as much. They had 2 HP, and everybody had an Avalanche farming build, and everybody built it the same way. It was like one thing. Technically, I've seen people use Avalanche since then. There's a couple of people who like Shaman, and they like proccing a bunch of stuff, and they like trying to crash their game by making too many particle effects happen at the same time. By and large, I would call Avalanche a skill that's firmly in the background, though it does have a few people who insist on turning it into reasonable looking builds, even though I don't want to play them because I don't want my computer to explode. So let's take a look at this. It's getting a change. God bless. Very well-known skill. Unfortunately, for when it's used by enemies rather than Shaman players. We're aiming to change that. As with Disintegrate and Shield Bash, there's a lot more changes. Let's take a look at a couple small things here. It's no longer channel by default. Good. So it's like a spell by default. Can you make it channeling? Maybe. It costs 50 mana. It creates 1 large boulder followed by 10 small boulders around the target area over 2 seconds. It's always targetable, and the boulders fall within a circle instead of an extended rectangle in front of the character. Good. Predictability. Nice. Let's see. The large boulder deals 100% more damage and has 100% more area of effect, both multiplicative. Both, even the area AoE is multiplicative. Increases the area of effect applied to the area of the individual boulders, but not to the area in which they fall. So it doesn't have like the firestorm problem of like Path of Exile. Remember in the past? Scaling AoE, always good. It's not like a bait. That's exciting. Avalanche has a chance to stun. Additionally, the impact from large boulders have a chance to create your upheaval. Oh, wait. It's a spell that procs your melee attack. Okay. Interesting. This seems like there's some Rude Goldberg devices that you might be able to build out of this excavation node. I see you. Alpine Guide. Crit chance. When a large boulder crits, it has a chance to drop a small boulder at the same location. Okay. Sure, 1, 2, 3, so 100% chance. You get like +1 boulder. So it goes from like 10 to 11. I wonder if that's like when it's like critically strikes. What if it hits like 10 enemies at the same time? Does that mean 10 extra boulders? Maybe? I don't know. Is it like per enemy hit or just like rolled once for the entire large boulder? I'm not sure. Let's see. Has no cooldown. Did I say has no cooldown? Does something say has no cooldown? I guess like the base has no cooldown. Is that it? Got it. Something they don't tell us. How does Boulder on Aftershock? Oh, the idols? They give you boulders on Aftershock? That's a great question. Does it give you a large one or a small one? Interesting. What's Stormcaller? Oh, boulder hits have a chance to grant you a storm stack? So it's not boulder hits have a chance to proc a storm bolt. It's boulder hits have a chance to grant you a storm stack. And storm stacks were previously something that you could only ever gain by manually using Gathering Storm. So this opens up a lot of possibilities. This is genuinely exciting. Huh. Interesting. And it's locked behind Shaman too. So you have to be a Shaman to take advantage of this. Interesting. All right, let's take a look at some passives here. We're done talking about skills. Skills aren't the only thing. Let's look at Sorc, Forge Guard, Shaman. Done. So Shaman got a facelift in 1.0, and now it's getting more love in 1.1. All right. So noteworthy, Sorc, Forge Guard, and Shaman are 3 of the 4 classes that we love making fun of. I don't see them mentioning the 4th one. You know, the one that you don't put any points into the skill tree. You know, Marksman. Where's that Marksman patch coming? All right, let's see. We got Sorc. We got 5 things to look at here. You deal more lightning damage to shocked enemies. Your skills, which cost at least 40 mana, inflict a spark charge on hit. Holy fuck. Spark charge on hit with skills that cost 40 mana. What the fuck? That's so exciting. I don't know what to do with this, but I'm very excited. Oh. You have additional spell damage, and you have a chance to refund a portion of the mana cost on skills you use. Doubled if you have 300. Oh, doubled if you have 300 and tripled if you have 1,000. So there's 2 breakpoints instead of just 1 breakpoint. Oh, that's cool. So it's not just like 300 mana and done. It's like 300 mana, but maybe if you get some good gear, you could triple it. That's exciting. Mana Shell. Okay. So mana for ward per second. This is a Sorc change, right? This is exciting. Oh, I wonder if this is replacing the mana armor node at the bottom of the skill tree. Oh, it's not. It says requires 20 points in the mage skill tree. No, I think so. Yeah, I think this is like the very beginning of the Sorc skill tree. Looks like it. They messed it up as a dump node. No, I think this is fine. Ward per second per 10 maximum mana. Should get 1,000 mana. I like it. I like it. Dragon Breath, increased area, % elemental damage. Okay, so they added an area that's brand new. And then we have this thing. Increased mana, and then mana spent gained as ward. I like mana spent gained as ward. I love seeing more stuff here. Especially with like more love for 40 mana cost skills. It's good for Sorc, bad for Spellblades. Boo-hoo. It's a Sorc node. It's good for Sorc and bad for Spellblade. Yeah, weird. We've got a Spellblade enjoyer in chat. Guess who it is? Let's take a look at Forge Guard. I think we saw this one already, right? Chestic has a shield, ring of shields, and you block. Yeah, we saw his shield crafter node. This was spoiled previously. I think this has been spoiled. Has it? I think so. I'm pretty sure this has been spoiled already. So crit chance with 2-handers, 10% increased, and then crit multi per 2 strength. Got it. So this is not multiplicative crit multi, it's like normal crit multi. Cool. What's this one? Oh, it's the very top. This is the very tippity top of the Forge Guard skill tree. You gain a bonus depending on which type of weapons you're wielding. Parry chance while dual wielding. Yes. Is it good? I don't know. But I did say that I thought Forge Guard would be an excellent place to include parry chance. Love seeing that it's in here. That's great. Attack speed while dual wielding. Oh, it's attack speed while dual wielding. Oh, is dual wielding different than dual wielding? That might be different. W-I-L. Strength with 2-handed weapon. Okay, so like there's strength here, strength here. This looks like there's like a strength combo thing going on with your Forge Guards. Fealty chance with a shield. Reduce damage taken from crits with a shield. Sure. I would like to see the frailty replaced with something else. It's kind of boring, but it's fine. Whatever. Hammer and anvil chance, baby. Look at this. Armor shred, GG. Minion armor shred, awesome. Minion increased attack speed on 20 mana cost skill. Uh-oh. So, wait a minute. Hammer and anvil stance. Chat, you were here when I played that Anvil Rive build, right? And we talked about like using anvil stance and never swapping into hammer stance. And it kind of solves one of the problems of your Void Knights, for example, having a lot of damage, but not having any defense at all. I recently mentioned EHG that I felt that Titan Heart was maybe not mandatory, but always in consideration. Because Titan Hearts, it has reduced damage taken on it. And you need some kind of damage reduction when you're playing a Sentinel, because Sentinels simply don't have much damage reduction. Believe it or not, and we can talk about this more if you want to, I have a different video on YouTube for it, Sentinels are one of the squishiest classes in the game. They have a high floor for tankiness, but they have a low ceiling for tankiness. So they get up and running very easily, but they don't have a particularly high ceiling. And one of the things that slightly helped to increase the ceiling of that was getting enough damage and then deleting some of your damage and opting into hammer and anvil stance, which was anvil stance and then never using hammer stance. And that's something that you could do in 1.0, where like with that hammer, with the Anvil Riot build that I put out on YouTube. So they've deleted it, which leaves me wondering, how do I build tankiness on a Sentinel? Because now we have one fewer thing to rely on. Like, you get a lot of leech, which is cool. You can use a shield, but other classes can use shields too. I'm just a little curious. I don't know. It's great for minion builds. Wow. Let's keep going. Javelineer. Throwing attack crit multi. Woo. Throwing attacks additional base critical strike chance per dexterity. Base critical strike chance per dexterity. Sure. So the throwing crit builds that I would willingly play would be like Enra's Technique Hammer Throw. And the Enra's Technique node already has flat critical strike chance in it. And then you use a eagle. It's like an eagle wing one-handed axe, which has a crit implicit on it. So I'm not really left wanting for it. Per dexterity, this makes me think that it's supposed to be used with Sirpin's Fractal Embrace, which is like the unique two-handed spear that drops from the Exiled Mage. It makes me think that maybe there's supposed to be something there. We'll see. We obviously don't have the patch nodes yet, but this node does not inspire much in me. The node that looks the best to me, honestly, is the Master of Arms, but we'll see what is going on with the rest of Forge Guard. The Shield Bash, or sorry, it was a Shield Bash or Shield Rush? The Shield Bash thing that we saw previously, that sounded cool. But the rest of these don't look quite as cool as the Sorc stuff, which surprises me because the Sorc stuff looks pretty good. So I don't know. Let's keep going. We have Shaman. Let's see this. Health and mana. Chance to cast Maelstrom when hit. 3-second cooldown. You have additional endurance threshold. Oh, endurance threshold per stack of Maelstrom. Can I get this on a werebear? I need 40 points in the Shaman passives. Nope. Huh. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of endurance threshold. I don't mind that. So like, let's say you get like 15 stacks. 15 to 3,300. It's like 300 endurance threshold. That's pretty cool. I don't mind this. It's not for every build, but eh. The 3-second cooldown. Come on. You and your minions have additional cold damage with spells and attacks, and your hits have a chance to inflict frostbite. Cool, okay. So there was a frostbite shaman build that existed, and it basically existed because you got so much cold res, and you can go cold res, ward, frostbite shackles, the unique gloves. But now you explicitly have access to frostbite chance. And so you and your minions deal additional cold damage, and your hits have a chance to inflict frostbite, but then it says minion frostbite chance. That seems like a small typo in the English text on top. But okay, cool. Frostbite chance, 20% per point, 100%. Awesome. That actually sounds pretty good. Gathering Storm, Frostbite, maybe. Avatar of Thunder, you and your minions gain additional spell lightning damage. Spell lightning damage. Wait, so have additional spell lightning penetration per 5 points of attunement. So +2 per 5 attunements. Okay. That's cool. I don't mind it. Like, it's damage. Damage that you didn't previously have access to. I want like 5 for 2. How much attunement are you really building? We'll see. What's Ironbark? You have additional health and armor. Tripled for your totems. You have additional health regeneration scaling with your attunements. 3 attunement gives you +1. Your totems have stun immunity. And then your totems have 1 health regen per 1 attunement. Okay. Ironbark is nuts. This is interesting. I don't know how nuts it really is. I don't do much with minions or with totem stuff. Twitch chat, when you say this is nuts, are you thinking about the totem implications? That stun immunity is nice. Or are you thinking about the health regeneration implications? We haven't quite gotten to ward balance yet, but the idea of like Shaman, health regeneration scaling, maybe using a Vessel of Strife. I'm kind of into it. I still want to play a Vessel of Strife build. The last one here is Gift of the Skies. Guard of the Shattered Lands. Oh, baby. Gift of the Skies. Attack speed, cast speed, dodge rating. This is flat dodge. Cool. When you directly summon a totem, it gains Frenzy for 3 seconds. Anyways, I like that it's attack speed. Cool. Attack and cast speed for a Shaman. Deal. Love it. It's an interesting node because it's not garbage. Ward balance. Since the introduction of experimental affixes, and again, we put up a video saying that it really was the introduction of experimental affixes which pushed it over the edge. With the percentage of missing health gain as extra ward, ward has been a dominant force in the world of Eterra. In addition to the Rune Master's ability to generate ward, and recently Warlock and Healing Hands generating way more ward than they thought, it's little wonder how the topic of health versus ward has become a big topping point. We haven't been blind to that conversation. While there's absolutely specific changes to be introduced to rein in some of these things, this isn't the first time ward is coming up as a hot topic. Because of its nature of decaying, but otherwise being infinitely stacking, quote unquote, it's easy for ward to quickly fall out of line. Before I read the rest of this, I want to call out, I don't think ward is busted. However, I think that it breaks far too often. Which probably means that it is busted. But that's my initial impression of it for 1.0. Like, it's not busted. It just breaks if you lightly blow on it with a gentle breeze. We're making those individual changes to outlier generations of ward. We're also making more significant changes to ward overall. That is in the ward decay formula. There's 2 lines here. I love it. Bunch of nerds trying to figure out how the math formulas work. So this is ward decay. Let's go over it real quick, and then we'll talk more. Oh, we're almost next to the outro. GG. The biggest thing we want to clarify is the formula change is not a full-on nerf. It's only if you're building ward. It's not a nerf if you're not building ward. While there's certainly the potential for outliers of high ward generation being reined in, there's also natural and intended methods of ward generation which currently feel a bit too weak. As such, the change in the formula results in stronger ward retention for when below 4,000 ward, and to address outliers, it's a much faster decay when over 10,000 ward. For clarity, here's the exact formula. Trying to be a bit more readable, and for those of you who hate maths, what kind of European wrote this? The change here is going from 40% of your ward per second to 20% of your ward per second plus 0.005% of ward per second. What? They said, for those of you who hate math, Here's a better way of explaining this. We're going. We're going for 40% of your word per second. So 20% of your word per second plus 0.005% of your word per second squared per second. Because that's much better for people who hate math. This means normally lower ward generating builds such as ward per second builds or hybrid ward health builds will have a better time maintaining the ward. But if you're an outlier, like generating 80,000 ward by accident, you have steep penalties to pay. I love it. So what does this mean? It means, if you take a look at this, the old formula for ward retention was linear. And the new ward retention formula is, God, if I say the wrong word here, you're going to jump on me. Quadratic? I think it's quadratic. Look, they said the word squared. It counts. So the new formula is quadratic. So like the more ward you have, you're going to be losing ward so much. It's so much faster than you used to lose ward. It's straight versus non-straight. It's true. So we have the straight formula and we have the gay formula. All right. So what does this mean? If your build has less than 4,000 ward, then this is actually a buff to you. So if you're something like, imagine you're using like a Vessel of Strife build, where like you're not really building much ward retention, but you have like a bunch of life regeneration, and you're using that to get a bit of ward on top of like, you know, a Vessel of Strife, for example. Those builds might only generate 5,000 or 6,000 ward. And by and large, this is going to be a buff to those style of builds that have incidental ward generation. But if you're going full on ward generation, you might get 8, 9, 10,000 ward, but like you are not going to get 80,000 ward in this new formula. The reason that I call this out as being particularly interesting is earlier on in this video and in talking to you, I mentioned that in corruption, I find the corruption scaling to be a bit boring because I find it to be rather linear. If you're at 400 corruption, and you're killing monsters quickly, you can do 800 corruption. You know you can, because 800 corruption is double 400 corruption, which means the monsters are twice as tanky and they deal twice as much damage. Which means instead of one-shotting them, you might, 0.8 shot them. So it'll take you slightly longer to kill a monster at 800 corruption. And the fact that it takes so long to get from 400 to 800 corruption, disregarding the fact that they just made it easier to climb corruption, so it's easier to get. I suspect that the kind of change that we see to ward going on right here, where it used to be linear, and they look at that formula and say, "Oh shit, it should probably scale harder, shouldn't it? It should probably like be quadratic." If someone's at 800 corruption and they're still pushing, that means that that person is looking for difficulty. So let's give them some difficulty instead of giving them something to mindlessly grind for the next week just so they can find some monsters that don't instantly die. I think that some kind of change like this is an option. Maybe it's not the right choice, but it's the kind of thing that I would want EHG to consider for how to address the boring linear scaling of corruption. I'd like to see corruption thresholds, like tiers of corruption. I'd like to see it scale faster in some way. So this is the kind of thing that's on my mind. I'm looking forward to seeing whether there are builds in Last Epoch in patch 1.1 that want to dedicate themselves to building ward in the way that low life builds, and there were builds in patch 1.1 or patch 1.0 that wanted to build ward. To me, if there's no builds in 1.1 that are dedicated ward builds, this is a mistake. Of course, this is only the ward decay formula. They did say that they're going to make individual changes to outlier methods of ward generation. Things like healing hands are probably going to get nerfed. I hope that there's still a place in Last Epoch for builds that want ward to be a primary layer of defense instead of just a little extra something on top. Hopefully, right? Hopefully. Surely. Let's go to the outro. We look forward to seeing stuff. Great. Continued support. Love it. When's the patch notes? We don't know. I think the patch notes are going to be on Friday, but that's because I like randomly gambling on stuff. So before we call it quits here, let's take a look at Twitch chat. Let's see who has some lingering thoughts about what we can add to the end of this video to kind of wrap things up. As I asked Twitch chat for what their impressions of this are, I'm going to scroll back up real quick to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I want to comment on now that we're at the end of the video. The mechanical changes to the blessings, absolutely amazing. Totally love it. -1 mastery. I don't know what -1 mastery means. What mastery are we making fun of? Are we saying Forge Guard? Forge Guard garbage? Is that the joke? Ladder improvements, race to 100, monolith search bar, maybe. Really, the blessing thing looks amazing, doesn't it? All right, so Twitch chat's hating on Forge Guard. Love it. Loot filter improvements, item faction stuff, Merchant's Guild. What else is here? The Gaze of Robus. I like the Gaze of Robus change. It definitely looks like it's going to be much more intuitive. It's not going to be like secret information that you need to watch this YouTube video and you need to know what this person said about it in order to min-max how your gaze is being consumed. I like that it's more intuitive and it's more self-contained in the game. It's not hidden information. I like this. Twitch chat says there's going to be a Giga Shield Bash build. Is that a hot take? I think there's going to be a Shield Bash build. It scales off block chance and block effect. Come on. How could there not be a Shield Bash build waiting for us in 1.1? Forge Guard Shield Bash is where EHG rest their hopes and ambitions. Come on, it's going to happen. Twitch chat likes the Shaman stuff. I like the Shaman stuff too. I hope I don't get baited into league starting Shaman again. I'd like to league start something that I'm a little bit more sure about. But the changes to Sorc and the changes to Shaman look good. I don't know, man. They look cool to me. We've got Sorc. Wait, where's the Sorc note at? Where's the good stuff? We made fun of Sorc in the past, not because Sorc was bad, but because Sorc was boring relative to Rune Master. It was just old. It wasn't bad. It was just old. But like this node requires 40 points in the Sorc skill tree. That means that you can't do this as a Rune Master. So there's a new Spark Charge build. I am a very happy person. Look at this. You could what's a 40 mana cost lightning skill? Static Orb? Done. Static Orb, Spark Charges. It's a build. How could it not be? Oh, wait. Lightning skills. Meteor? Lightning Meteor? Oh. 40 mana cost Frostclaw? Okay. Ooh, see, Twitch chat's already come. And if you get a skill that's got like 35 mana cost, you could use the scepter that has increased mana cost of skills on it. I forget what it's like a gate staff or something. Oh, yeah. Forge Guard. Hopefully Forge Guard's cool, I guess. But like Shaman and Sorc, I'm going to call it Shaman and Sorc the winners of this. This graph is all you got to see for the Word of Attention stuff. Love it. I'm excited. Anything else? Ellie Nova can get high enough, can't it? Can you get a 40 mana cost Ellie Nova? Lightning Volcanic Orb. Is there a lightning converted Shadow or Volcanic Orb? There's a cold converted Volcanic Orb. There's a void Volcanic Orb. What's that note say? Your skills? Oh, it doesn't have to be lightning. Oh. Wait. Could you play Glacier? Can you play like a cold Glacier scaling Spark Charges? Wait a minute. And then Glacier has like a mana refund mechanic built into it? Oh. I'm so excited for the patch notes. Woo! All right, I'll see you next time. This looks great. I love it.